Well, hello, and welcome to the Personalization with Ninetail Bootcamp course. I am Marcelo Lewin, the Headless Creator. As always, get a hold of me right there, Marcelo at headlesscreator.com. In today's lesson, Intro to Personalization, Maturity Model, and Segmentation, which you can find under the Foundation section of the Personalization with Ninetail Bootcamp course, you're going to learn what the Personalization Maturity Model is, why it's important, and what customer segmentations are and how to use them. But before we get started, you know how it works. I'm going to tell you real quick about headlesscreator.com. Go ahead and get your free account. Once you get your free account, you're going to have access to the on-demand version of this lesson. Plus, you're going to have access to the entire course. And the entire course currently has 2 lessons, but we have about 9 to 10 lessons planned out here, so many more coming. You'll also be able to take an exam at the end of this bootcamp and get a certification of knowledge. So definitely go get your free account. Just sign up here. Then, of course, you're going to have access to everything else in headlesscreator.com, including Content Modeling Weekly. So learn all about content modeling, which is very important for personalization. We actually have an entire section on that, which we're going to get into the Discover Headless Tech course, all of the Focus On courses, and the bootcamp courses, many more coming up. So go ahead and do that. You won't regret it. Thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. So having said that, I'm going to go ahead and restart the intro because for the on-demand version, you know how it works. We have no marketing whatsoever, and we'll jump into the lesson. So I will see you in just 10 seconds. Well, welcome to the Personalization with Ninetail Bootcamp course, lesson number 2, Intro to Personalization, Maturity Model, and Segmentation, presented by Andy Kaiser, the founder of Ninetail. As always, if you have any questions, you can get a hold of me right there, Marcelo at headlesscreator.com. All right, let's bring Andy in. Andy, welcome.
Hi.
Glad
Nice
to
to
have
be
you
here.
back. I'm going to go ahead and show your slides, and we'll let you get started. If anybody has questions, just type them in the chat for those of you watching live.
So let's start. For the intro for personalization, this is the second lesson. We will see today what segmentation is and what the personalization maturity model is. So let's start with segmentation. And what is segmentation? If we check the definition of segmentation, segmentation is the practice of dividing customers into groups that share common traits in order to better understand and target them. So here, the important part is really groups that share common traits and to better understand and target. Segmentation is something which is very used in marketing. And again, it's used for target those users with the right message for that group. And of course, to send the right message, you have to understand that groups or that segments. So why should we use customer segmentation? And first of all, the key to unlocking competitive advantages is understanding your customers. So first of all, again, understanding your customers. If you understand your customers, you will have competitive advantages, but you will get most of your marketing campaigns. So again, understanding your customers, being customer-centric, understanding the different groups of customers will enable much better marketing campaigns and which will differentiate from your competitors. And it's also important when you're developing new products, features, or even marketing products, is if you know, again, your customer segments, you can create the products that are tailored for each group. And segmenting your customers allows you to serve their needs and wants better while also increasing your chance to retain more customers in the long term. So again, understanding your customers will give you an advantage, and you will also retain more customers in the long term. And the more relevant your marketing messages are for each customer segment, the higher there's engagement with your company, products, or service. Again, if you understand your customers, if you understand your segments, you will create more relevant messages, and so the engagement will be higher. And what types of segmentations we have? As so many things in modern marketing, it's part of understanding the data. It's part of defining segments based on data. So let's check these different types. So one very classic segmentation is the demographic segmentation. And in this case, data includes customer age, gender, income, marital status, occupations, and much more. So it's at the end data which defines a group based on all these kind of different parts. And if you go, if we see some examples, for example, here in personalization decoded, we have an example where based on demographic data, we show different content. And another type of segmentation, this is also a very classical one, is geographic segmentation. And this, at the end, how the name says, it's really includes geographic data, which could be like, for example, a city, a town, a specific country, a specific continent. And all this gives a lot of capabilities, not only for personalization. Again, it's segmentation is part of the marketing basics, and based on this segmentation, you could, for example, show different websites, or you could show different content in different languages, because you can match this kind of geographic data again with other factors like the language. And here is another example which I really like. And again, all examples, the details of this example, you can find it in Personalization Decoded. In this case, for example, in the personalization, we have a very localized personalization for Berlin taxi drivers, or taxi drivers from Berlin. So in this case, based on this segmentation of city, we can show, or we can tailor the right message. But we also have behavioral segmentation. And this is also very interesting. And this is really where digital data come in. And in this case, we can segment the users based on different actions or interactions. We can also base it in other traits, like an average order value, like the browsing history, and a lot of different session data, like the frequency, and much more. And here again, another example. In this case, the personalization is based on last seen products. So based on the behavior, based on the different interactions, we can create different segments. And another type of segmentation is psychographic segmentation. And here's where we as marketeers gather data about the customer's attitude, interest, personality traits, values, and more. This can get a little tricky if we are getting into digital data, but there are ways to get this interest or this personality traits. And for example, based on quizzes, we can get some information. And of course, combining it with different databases or whatever. So again, and that's also interesting, we saw before this same example, and this is the interesting part. You can always segment your users in different groups and combine these groups in one personalization or multiple personalizations experiences. And this other type of segmentation, firmographic segmentation, is used especially in B2B marketing. And in this case, it's data we have about the customer's industry, the number of employees, annual revenue. So any information we have about a company of a user or a customer. And this is really interesting, especially for B2B. So we can create different messages, for example, based on the vertical, based on the size of the company, if it's a startup, if it's an enterprise, and so on. And in this example, again, the details in personalization decoded, you can see how or in this case, the experience is based on the vertical. So based on the vertical of the company, different social or different logos are shown, different click to actions, and so on. And the last type of segmentation is the technographic segmentation. And in this case, the data is about the technology the user uses. For example, if it's like a mobile device, if there are different technologies they use,